Welcome to the first episode of Podcasting with Richard. In the first episode, I'm simply just gonna talk about this origin, how everything came together, and just what the vision is. I have no clue what I'm doing. I think I'm just gonna upload this first episode onto YouTube, onto TikTok, and maybe onto Instagram, and then I'm just slowly gonna figure out how I can get all of this uploaded to Apple Podcast and Spotify. I still have to create a cover. But we are gonna figure this out on the way. So how I got the idea for this podcast, I don't know. All I can remember is that a couple weeks ago, God just gave me insane insights. He just gave me like a lot of output. And the way we are gonna go about doing this podcast is that I am not gonna be the one that does the podcast, but we are gonna do this together. I don't know what this is gonna look like, but I believe that he has something already figured out. And the reason why I want to do this way is because it is really important for me that, bro, I'm so nervous, that I know the people that watch my content. I would much rather have like one follower and a really deep relationship with him than a million followers and I don't know anything about the people that are following me. I want that you guys have influence on this podcast, that you guys are able to say what you guys like, what you don't like, what guests you would like to have on the podcast, what you guys want the cover to look like, what ideas you have for the names, for the titles. I want to do this with you guys together. Like personally, I want that you guys get the feeling that you make an impact, that you dictate the direction that we are taking with this podcast. The whole goal that I have is to just give away free value. I don't really want to make money with this podcast. I don't want to advertise anything in between episodes. I don't want to run any ads. Like, all I want is documenting my journey and giving away as much value that I can. And the plan that I right now have for this is, first of all, just recording episodes where I just talk about whatever, episodes where we can do like Q&As, where you guys can ask me personal questions, and episodes where I actually in person interview people. Oh, I'm so nervous, man. Yeah. So the whole goal of the podcast is to like be completely free. I don't want to advertise anything. I don't want to sell anything through this podcast. I just want that you guys have influence, that I interview people, that I just document my journey, and that we just give away as much free value as we can. So I'm going to stop repeating myself and talk more about the actual story. So as I said, this one day I just had like this moment where God just gave me a bunch of ideas, wrote everything down. I told a bunch of people already about it, but the big mistake that I made is that I talked more than I, worked. So I basically, I was putting it off the entire time because I tried to make it perfect, to come up with the perfect name, have like good equipment. The stuff that I'm using is like these Rode microphones, like as you see here. Um, this is what the case looks like. I also have like an extra attachment that I can like put into my charging port so that the phone gets connected to the microphone. But back to the story. So I was just putting it off, trying to be perfect, creating a list with just guests that I could interview, asking people that I would personally like to interview. Um, Also, like receiving a lot of help. Someone offered me to to like let me use some of his equipment um, that he has. I thought about buying it from him, but he said then to me, it's gonna be difficult because I want to use it for streaming, and I was like, okay, then I don't want to. I don't want then the equipment at all because I feel like that it doesn't give me that creative freedom that I want when I always have to go ask him, wait for his response, pick up the equipment, and then do the podcast. So I'm just gonna stick with what I have with my phone with just these basic microphones, and God is just he's gonna do his job. Things will figure themselves out. Yeah, and basically then I like had this really long phase where I was just lazy, not uploading content, not working on actually making progress with this podcast. But yesterday I had a really important realization, which is that I'm gonna see the guys from my football team, from my local football team, probably next week. And I told a lot of them about the podcast, asked them, hey, um, would any of you want to be on a podcast? And it has gotten to a point with me putting off work that I actually had you guys reaching out to me asking what I'm doing, why there is no new content coming, why there isn't a podcast episode out yet. And I was like, shoot, I really got a lot. I really got to lock in because getting called out isn't a isn't a good feeling. My parents do this with me all of the time. I appreciate them for doing that, but that still doesn't make the feeling feel better. Yeah. Um, I just didn't want it that when I'm heading home next week from the gym that they ask me about the podcast and I then tell them, sorry, haven't made any progress. And something that I just realized is that putting off work and not doing it right away can be really dangerous because I had to stop this podcast episode to free up some space on my phone because my storage was full because of all the videos that I haven't uploaded onto YouTube. They are all already on Instagram and TikTok, but not onto YouTube. But to prove my point, something that matters to me is that I keep things as open, honest, and authentic as possible. I want to show like the ups, the downs, the suffering, the like the emotions that I go through, because something that really bothers me about social media is that it's just all the highlights. Everybody just shows them at their like best. And on top of that, especially when you look at successful people, let's take Iman Ghazi for example, Luke Balma, or whoever, whatever else, like whoever else. It's hard to fully, at least for me, to fully understand how they got to where they are now, because I don't see a lot of the stuff that they had to do. And I want to share exactly that part. I want that people look at my content, at my journey, and they then look at the videos that I recorded a couple years ago, and they're like, oh, he got to where he is now because of all the stuff that he did in the past that he documented. So people actually are capable of understanding how I got where I am, and they are able to replicate it. I That's what matters to me. I don't want that you have to do a lot of guesswork. And something that also matters to me is that I make you believe that you can actually achieve whatever you want. I want that you are capable of looking at all of the bad stuff that I went through, and maybe you didn't went through as much shit as I went through, or maybe more, but in those moments when you go through hard times, I want to be an inspiration. I want that people are able to look at me to see that I suffered, that I kept going, and that I still won at the end, and that when they go through hard times, they can look at those moments and they can find strength in them and get this extra bit of strength that helps them to continue, because they look at what I did and they're like, okay, he managed to be successful, even though he had it worse than I had. So if he is able to do it, then I'm able to do it too. I want to see you win. Yeah, I completely lost track, but back to the realization point. So after I realized this yesterday, I was like, okay, we gotta figure something out. Um, there is probably some kind of lesson in this whole thing that is currently going on with just me being lazy. God is probably just gonna. He probably just wants a deeper relationship with me, which is why he's probably allowing me to be weak right now, and that he is allowing things to not go my way, and that I'm not as disciplined and whatever. And while I was then sitting in my favorite cafe, I was like, okay, we gotta do something. We are probably not gonna be able to upload all of that content, but we still have to do some work, because a little bit of work is better than not doing any work at all. So I then simply pulled out my phone, I pressed record, and I said, I promise that I'm gonna upload the first episode of the podcast today. And the reason why I did this is because I want to use this documenting part for my advantage, because I know that, okay, there are people out there that watch my content and that are, like, recently are gonna hold me accountable. So I know that when I put out a video where I say I'm gonna drop the first podcast episode today, I have to do it, because if I don't do, I have some people that are gonna DM me on Monday asking about the podcast. Yeah, so I this was basically the origin. I just decided, screw it, I'm just gonna pull out my phone, record the first episode. I would like that the second episode is maybe more a bit about the origin. I have in my notes a more detailed out version. Or what we also could do is a Q&A. But I'm just gonna leave everything up to God. He's gonna, do his magic or whatever. I'm just gonna follow his instructions. Um, yeah. The next episode is then probably not only gonna be about the vision of the podcast, but the vision that I have generally going forward. I feel like I don't really have gotten a green light yet when it comes to the vision that I generally have, and I believe that things are probably gonna turn out a lot different than I expect. But as long as he gets his will, I'm cool with that. Yeah, with that, I'm gonna end the episode. Yeah, I love you and God bless.